AdventureWorks uses a number of key performance indicators to evaluate its business performance. SQL Server 2005 provides tools to quickly create and deploy graphical KPIs based on enterprise business intelligence data. AdventureWorks wants to leverage the data in its Analysis Services Cube to create a KPI based on the gross profit margin of their internet sales channel. Currently, there is no internet gross profit margin field in the AdventureWorks data warehouse. However, all the data needed to calculate the value is already available. All Brian needs to do is to create a new calculated measure. A calculated measure takes data from elsewhere in the data warehouse, carries out a calculation, and exposes the result as a new measure. The Business Intelligence Development Studio includes tools to help Brian create the calculated measure quickly and easily. He drags and drops the fields he needs into the Expression Designer. There, he can manipulate them however he wants. Notice that he can specify that the measure formats as a percentage as well. Once the new measure has been created, it can be used in the same way as any other measure in the database. After the measure has been created, Brian is going to use it as the basis for a new KPI. One of the great things about SQL Server 2005 is that once the KPI is created, it can be used anywhere in the enterprise. For example, it could be incorporated into the SharePoint marketing portal that Dana uses to monitor her department. This KPI is going to use a gauge graphic so that people can see the current performance at a glance. Brian is also going to add a trend arrow so people can see where the gross profit margin is moving. This KPI is based on our newly created Internet Gross Profit Margin measure. We set a goal of 40% for this particular KPI and display it by using a gauge indicator. Next, we write an expression that evaluates the status of this KPI. The expression uses the MDX language to evaluate this particular metric. Next, we write another expression to evaluate the trend of this particular metric, which lets a user get a visual indicator if the metric is going in a positive, negative, or neutral direction. Now that we have our new KPI, we save it to our server and deploy it in the cube. Now AdventureWorks has a gross profit margin KPI to help keep everyone up to date on the company's performance.